Hey, it's Miko from ML Sound Lab, and I'm getting tired of this IR blaming stuff. It's time to bust some IR myths. Let's check it out. IRs don't capture the dynamics of cabs. IRs sound dead to my ears. IRs lack the air in the top end. IRs have no bottom end definition. IRs have a weird middle cut. IRs just sound plastic to my ears. To my ears. To my ears. Ears. Okay, so I've been doing this IR thing for like a decade now, professionally for about 6 years. And these are the kind of comments that I get from time to time. And I'd really like to discuss these further and kind of explain the IR format, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I feel like there's a lot of myths that need to be busted. So let's dive in. Okay, so let's start the myth busting with a clip comparison, because I feel like many of you have never even heard a really good comparison of a mic versus an IR. And this is something that I do every week, so it's really easy for me to show you. I'll be using my humbucker equipped Fender Strat going into my Friedman BE into an orange 4x12, mic'd up with the Shure SM7B dead center on the V30 speaker. And this will be compared to the same exact riff, same exact take, just separated so that instead of the cabinet you'll be hearing an IR version of that cabinet. And I'm using the IR loader called Reverence in Cubase for this comparison. I highly recommend you use that because it's really good. So, if the IR capture is done with the correct methods, like what we use here at ML Sound Lab, there will be absolutely no audible difference in the tone, like this sample just showed you. And if you disagree with me, if you hear a difference between these samples, please comment down below because I'd love to talk to you. Okay, so let's start talking about the myths. The most common and most idiotic one is that the IR format is incapable of capturing the dynamics of a guitar cabinet. Let me just start with saying that, do you think that a guitar cabinet has a lot of dynamic variance in it? Because all the measurements really kind of claim otherwise. A guitar cabinet doesn't have that much of an effect dynamic-wise, but whatever it may have, the IR format is fully capable of capturing that. This comes down to how long your IR is. So the ML Sound Lab packs come in 500 millisecond format. That is, even in my opinion, a little bit overkill. 200 milliseconds is definitely enough to capture the full dynamic spectrum of a guitar cabinet. If you understand the IR format, you'll realize that, for example, if you take a frequency like, let's say, 125 Hz, which usually is around that low-end palm mute frequency, what the IR format is actually doing is, during that 200 milliseconds, it's listening to the amplitude of the guitar cabinets and how much variance during that 200 milliseconds there will be in real life. So once you combine time with amplitude, what you get is dynamics, and that's exactly what the IR format does. So yeah. then the next myths are your frequency related myths, like the IR methods are not capable of capturing the high-end air or low-end definition or mid-range cuts. Okay, if you still feel this way, I highly recommend you listen to those samples that I just played you again and tell me where you hear the difference, because if I measure those dynamically, if I measure those spectrum wise, there will be no difference. So there should be no difference, like I can prove that easily. All these myths aside, I do get it, because I myself have also tried really bad IRs. I mean, back in the day when I started making IRs, that was like 10 years ago, there were only 2 companies really making IRs, and you know, once I made my own, I quickly realized that, okay, I can do better. So that's what I'm doing for a living these days, which is pretty awesome. But sure, there's a lot that goes into making an IR. And just because an IR sounds bad to you, I don't want you to jump into conclusions and thinking that it's the IR format's fault, because there's a lot that can go wrong in making an IR. And if you feel like the IR format is bad, I just highly recommend you try even some of the free samples that we have out and try them out. But please, just stop blaming the IR format. That is false.